Hello, I'm Lisa Sims with Bee and Peacock Organizing, and if you've ever wondered what it would be like to organize virtually, then this utility closet project is your chance. This video is going to give you a glimpse into virtual organizing, as well as general organizing principles and what it's like to work with a professional organizer. If you're new to this channel, I really like showing you the thought process and the planning that goes into good organizing, and I'm very excited to bring you this video. This is an edited version of 4 Zoom sessions that took place over about 3 weeks, and the conversation shows you why the space wasn't working, what the homeowner hoped could be accomplished in the space, and then the actual design and organizing process. There was obviously other communication happening with the homeowner, like emails and phone calls, but this video gives you the highlights and the most important parts of the process. There's a lot of good information here, but if you want to just hit the highlights, you can go to the beginning of each of the 4 sessions: consultation, categories, design review, and reveal. Every organizing project begins with a consultation. I want to know what's not working in the space, and then also what the client hopes can happen in the space. I'm going to take notes about what I currently see, but also ask questions about things that the client might want to include in the utility closet from other places in the house. And then I'm going to make categories. You'll notice we're already talking about relocating some categories from the utility closet to other places in the house. This is really common and a great example of once you start organizing a space, you often create some secondary projects, which is great because over time you're going to get your whole house organized. And even though it's not in this video, this is a really important time to talk about budget. All right, guys, we are live, and I'm so excited about this project.
Welcome to my messy closet.
Yay, I love your messy closet. Okay, the messier the better for me. So this first introduction video is really just the first step in a process, general walkthrough of how to organize a space. Obviously, we're working virtually, but this would be very similar to what we would do if I was standing there in person. But obviously, I can't help you physically do stuff, but you're very capable of that, so not worried about it. But this first video is really, I just want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to get a feel for what you want the space to be like, things that have frustrated you about the space, obviously maybe some limitations of things we can do based on the tank on the wall and things like that, but really just asking questions. So what is your vision or dream for this little cute closet?
Well, when we built this house, we knew we had a little closet back here, and it has been 9 pathetic years that I have ignored this closet and not made good use of this space. So what I would like, it's not a coat closet for clothes. I really would like it to be a space where we can store things like things going out the door or things not often used, and things like mops and umbrellas and racquetball rackets and cleaning supplies and some things like that I just don't have a good other space for.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be cute and pretty because it's just by the back door, and it's where our tankless hot water heater is. So definitely there's going to have to be access every few years for service, but other than that, I just want to really use this space well for things that don't have to be gotten to real often, especially up high, and make use of this good empty space.
Okay, super. Okay, so is there anything that you maybe in a close by proximity have trouble storing that you would also like to put in here other than the things that I see in here?
So yes, I have a couple of big sun hats. We hike and get out a lot, and those are always falling off the top shelf of our bedroom closet.
Okay.
And we also have a few small, like, day pack backpacks that let smush down flat, that would be nice, that we don't use often. And then I also have a plug-in, like a small handheld vacuum cleaner, and there is a plug on the wall in this closet.
Right.
So it would be really nice if, if that could go in there, because it just never is in a good place. And I would like to keep some things like, we've got 2 leaves of a big dining table that it would be nice if they could be in there, but they don't have to be. And then things like mop buckets, but hats and backpacks would be kind of nice.
Okay. Great. All right. So it sounds like and looks like on the door, you were already kind of thinking in that grab and go, I'm heading out the door, because I think that's your back door right there, right?
It is, yes. So we've
Right.
got some umbrellas and things like that there.
Okay. So you were kind of already starting to create that. Has that worked for y'all, having the umbrellas on the door?
It has. That's a great place, and there's a floor that's stained concrete, so dripping water is not a problem, that kind of thing.
And it's concrete all inside that closet, right?
It is. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, super. All right. So next thing is, I just kind of need to get a little view of what's in this closet. So I obviously saw the door. So we've got cleaning supplies, mops, brooms, a couple of big buckets, and that's the leaves you were talking about.
Right. We've got some marshmallow hot dog toasters that don't have to be in there. Maybe a flag that we put out outside on a few occasions, a big yardstick, all kinds of junk.
Okay, is that paint?
I think that's a folding chair. Yeah, that's some gallons of paint from our house that probably need to go away anyway.
Okay. So it obviously a small space, but we can do a lot with that.
I actually think that a place for a few small cans of paint, because out in the garage is not air conditioned and probably a more stable environment, for just a few regular gallon size paint wouldn't be bad if we had that option.
Okay, so kind of organizing 101 is to decide purposefully what you want a space to be assigned, what is its purpose, and then within that, what are some of these subcategories. So it's really helpful to look at how you've been, like what have you been kind of stashing in there is going to kind of give me an idea of part of that. But also then the reason that you're wanting an organizer to come in is because it's not working. So maybe some of those categories could be offloaded, to other areas. So I've heard you say, outside stuff, you're heading outside, grab and go, maybe stuff that's going to go to the car, or you're just going to be outside. Maybe it's even like sunscreen or bug repellent. That's like a category that
yes, that's a good thought.
Yeah,
yes.
So that I would put the umbrellas in and the hats, maybe the backpacks, that kind of stuff. Now you've also got the rackets. Are those rackets something that you use on a regular basis?
Well, yes, pretty often. We take them to the gym, not weekly, but we would like them around pretty close by where we could take them. And that includes racket balls, a little can of racket balls, and swim goggles and racquetball goggles.
Okay, so we've got outside stuff. I'm just calling that, sound generic. We've got sports equipment. We've got household stuff, which would include paint, cleaning products, brooms, mops. Some miscellaneous, which would be the flags or flag and the table leaves.
Yes.
Okay, so the question then is, can we house those particular categories adequately in this space? And the answer to that is we don't know until we actually see the quantity of each of these categories.
Okay.
And then how they would best, how the space would be best utilized to do those. So, my job is to kind of help you sort through the things in this closet specifically, and maybe couple them with, well, for instance, let's look at the cleaning products. You have some at the bottom. I suspect that you have more cleaning products elsewhere in the house. So do you want perhaps all the cleaning products together, wherever that is, so that you know where everything is, you don't go buy duplicates? Do you like having a particular all-purpose cleaner under each sink so that when you're in that room, you just reach down there and grab it and do stuff, or do you like it all centralized so that when you go to clean, you take it all with you? What do y'all do? What's better
Well,
for your family?
I think reasonably looking at what we have and thinking about bathroom and kitchen under sink cabinets, I really think that we could reasonably move all the bottles of cleaning supplies to those spaces. And then the only thing that would be left is to consider whether the cleaning bucket and the mop bucket could be moved in those spaces. But I think cleaning supplies really could be moved out and just kind of divided between kitchen and bathroom supplies easily and get out of this closet.
Okay, so that's good information. So obviously that changes the type of structure we would need, because small bottles of things is going to be housed differently than things that are going to hang, et cetera. So that's good. That's good information. Okay, so anything else that you think I just need to know about this space?
So I guess the only thing is because of this water heater, the whole front plate screws off if there's maintenance. So
Right.
I guess the shelves or whatever we put in there would have to be movable so that if a plumber needed to come in, there's space for their body and to unscrew the plate of that.
Absolutely.
But I mean, we've had service once in 9 years, so it's not very often, but it would have to be mobile, I guess. And two, if there was a water spill in that plumbing, it wouldn't damage the type of shelving. That would be the only thought.
Absolutely. Okay, so for me to figure out a good design for you guys, I need measurements. So part of your homework is going to just be, and I will send you an email that has everything I would need for you to measure in it. Then you can just respond that way. But it's basically just the perimeter, but also when there's an obstruction like you have with the tankless, seeing if there's any possible space around that we could hang stuff or go under it or above it, whatever. And so I'll spell all that out for you. You can do that at your leisure. And then once I have the measurements that I need, I can start kind of figuring out the best way to approach this. The next time that we would be together on the video would be the sorting process. Now, in this particular application, you just don't have that much. If this had been like a big, closet project or something and you'd bring clothes, or if it was an office, then the next part of your homework would have been, fairly time consuming. But you're basically just going to look in here, pull stuff out. You're probably going to have to pull it out anyway to measure some of it. But anything that you don't need anymore, don't want, hardly ever use, that's, the time that you're going to either figure out if it's donate, trash, or give away to a friend or sell or whatever. But it's really we're categorizing and we're culling. So, like we talked about, we've got sport kind of stuff. We've got grab and go outside. We've got cleaning products, which in this case now is reduced to the brooms and mops and buckets, which is kind of cleaning tools, I guess, so to speak. And then your miscellaneous. And then at that point, we'll figure out what's left, how the best way to organize it in the space is. Does that make sense?
It does. And I actually just had an inspiration, and this is totally optional, but we do have, and it's probably not the best place to store this, but the metal folding chairs like you use at school or church or whatever.
Absolutely.
We do have a stack of those. It's about 10 chairs that we have stored in an okay place in our house.
Okay.
But and I can measure the height and depth of those folded up. If that became a place, an option for that, that would be just a bonus, but definitely not an important use of the space.
Okay, well, let's see. You never know till you try. I think my main thing would be for the chairs is accessibility. Like if that's something that you use a lot, like you're entertaining people coming over.
Yeah, it's not something we use very often.
Okay, so it may be that this is a good place. It may be that someplace else is better, but we'll investigate that. Absolutely.
Good.
And then we also need to, if you are going to offload the chemicals, have the cleaning supplies and stuff, then that would make sense that we make that kind of a meaningful space too, wherever they end up. So we can treat that as a kind of parallel project if we want to. But okay, great. So I will send you what I need to have measured, and then we will connect again, and we'll you can tell me what you, if anything, sorted out. That may be a really short video. and then,
Yeah.
and then we'll start. I'll have a design for you, and we'll discuss the design. See if it feels intuitive to you, if it does what you want it to, and then we'll go from there.
All right.
So now we have a general idea of what we want to accomplish. But before I can create an organizational layout and a design, I need to know the quantity and the categories of everything that's going to go in that closet. So categories is my shorthand for the sorting and culling process. It's basically pulling everything out of the space, sorting all the items into general categories, and then culling what's no longer needed into either donate or trash. I really encourage you to do the categories first and then the culling, because it's the decision-making process of picking up each item, thinking about whether you want to keep it or not, moving to the next item that's very cumbersome and it feels heavy. So if you can already have things grouped in like categories, even though you're touching things twice, it goes so much faster and it just feels lighter. This is especially helpful if you have duplicates. So for instance, if you have 6 umbrellas, it's so much easier to just look at all 6 at one time instead of picking up each umbrella as it comes through the pile and making a decision based on its own merit at that moment. So you'll notice in this project there isn't a lot of quantity, but there's quite a few categories, and that's going to affect our design. So heads up about session 2. The Zoom session was recorded with bad Wi-Fi, so the video quality is not very good, but hang in there. Session 3 and 4 are fine.
So up until the wheel of the bicycle, all that's in the closet. That's really great. Okay, now I have something I want you to test for me. I would like to see if the table leaf, I don't see that actually there. Is that still planning? Can you walk the table leaf over to the utility closet? And I want to just try something. Is there 2 or 1?
2. There's 2.
Okay. So I'm curious to see if they will just sit against the wall under the pipes on the way. And if they are you comfortable with them being under a potential water place?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great idea. Why didn't we think of that?
So that's their new home no matter what else happens.
I like it.
Can you walk in the flag for me? Like, can you set it in the corner there and just see how tall it is?
It could go behind the
Okay, so that, from the front, could you access the corner in a creative way?
Yeah.
But see, you won't be.
I think this is just fine if we can pass it through.
Well, she's seeing if there's shelves right here. As long as there's like an inch enough for us to between the shelves and the pipe to put it through right
I'm
here.
saying even be more creative and see if there's a way in between the pipes. Okay, awesome. All right, I love that you guys did such a great job of sorting and culling and laying all that out, because it really helps me to see what we've got. So now let's look over at your cleaning products. And by the way, now that I've seen all that, and plus the stills sent with the measurements, I'm really good on setting up a design. So all of that stuff can go back in the closet, and we don't have to touch it again until we're really setting it up.
Between the 2 sessions, the client removed the cleaning products from the utility closet and then organized all the cleaning products under the kitchen and bathroom sinks. We didn't work on that together because it wasn't really a priority for them, and they accomplished a lot on their own and they were happy with the results. But it was a very important step because now we have more space in the utility closet.
He pulled everything out of the kitchen sink, under the kitchen sink and the bathroom. And we pulled some things out that need to go to the garage, which was good.
Okay.
And we combined a bunch of bottles, had like partial bottles of window cleaner.
Right.
And
good call.
So we collected small things in a tub here that we don't want to fall over. And we put things that are more like cleaning the house, except bathroom in here, and chemicals that don't need to go out in the garage because of temperature. And then we'll show you the bathroom where we lined it and cleaned it and put more like bathroom supplies and things we store in there.
Okay, great.
And we actually have a lot more room than we thought we did. And I'm sure there's some ways we can enhance that up here, but we'll dive into that later. But actually, it was a good chance to combine things and clean up a mess.
So, I mean, I think you did a great job. I like that you put stuff in containers so that it's not just kind of going crazy down there. I mean, we can make it look sexier, but it's fine, you know? I think that's
Okay.
great. As long as you're happy with it and it's intuitive that you know where you would go for a certain product. That's all that really matters.
We know where to go, and now we know how many of what we have, which I think we've just really never ever made an effort to do. And we do have, when the situation is different, cleaning people that come in, and I think that's been part of the chaos, is there's places in that hall closet and in here and in the kitchen.
Right.
So now then they can assess what they need into, so that'll be helpful for everyone.
Right. I think one of the secret weapons is really categories and just staying with the categories. Because as soon as you start separating stuff out, that's when you just, things get out of sight, out of mind.
So now that I know the quantity of each of the categories and the wish list, I have enough information that I can make my organizational layout and design and be able to present a written estimate of labor and materials to the client. This session is all about walking the client through the design and showing them why I think it's the best solution for their space and their budget. I want them to see how everything we talked about is incorporated into the space. And by the way, not every client needs a new custom closet. A lot can be done by just purchasing a few organizational products. But in this case, it was the best solution. This session is invaluable in making sure that everything on paper actually works in real life. And sometimes I even ask the client to remeasure just to make sure. My design for this utility closet uses the Alpha closet system from the Container Store. So I wanted to give you a disclaimer that I was a designer at the Container Store for 7 years. I know Alpha, and I'm a huge proponent of it for many reasons. However, this is not a sponsored video, so I want you to know that I'm just expressing my professional opinion based on my organizing experience and also using it in my own home. For this particular application, Alpha is hands down the best alternative. For privacy purposes, I've replaced the video portion of this Zoom session.
So I'm back looking at the design, looking at that door. Okay, so the way this is set up is your umbrellas, the tall ones are resting with their tip in that bottom basket.
Okay.
And then the gift wrap rack is holding them in place.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then the board above it is going to have hooks on it, and it would be where you would be hanging the short umbrellas.
Okay.
So this is kind of overkill, but it's the only way I could get the tall umbrellas in here.
Okay.
But all the umbrellas would basically be in that one area. And some could sit in that basket as well. The basket here, where my cursor is where I thought you might want to put your folded reusable,
Recyclable, yeah.
grocery bags. This was meant in my mind as you're heading out to the car, you're going grocery shopping, you're going to grab your reusable bags.
Good. Okay.
And that's where they are. Okay, then the basket above that is the stuff like the bug repellent, outside whatever, bottles of sunscreen or whatever that we talked about.
Okay.
And then above that is where you would have room to hang one of the hats. For me, that door was I'm heading outside, stuff I need kind of thing. Then looking at the broom and mop wall, this is the wall that when you go to hang some stuff, I want to be involved because we need to get the spacing right.
Okay.
Because we've got a lot to fit in. You got 5 brooms and mops, and we're trying to get 2 hats. Because I think you have maybe 3 hats.
Yes, and that we don't have to have all of them in there, but that would be helpful if we could.
Yeah, so I think it's possible, but that's where, as you can see the profile of that shelf, if some of this stuff, like the brim of a hat, could be tucked back into where the shelf is.
Right, and several of these hats completely fold up, like less than an inch. They kind of collapse, so that helps.
Okay. So that's, I think, a good plan, but we'll have to that'll be one we have to kind of massage as we do it. The last thing is going back to those shelves.
Mhm.
So of the things that we looked at, that you have your contents and then you made your categories, what I envisioned this as being on the bottom is the big bucket,
Mhm.
that kind of rectangle one would just
Mhm.
sit on the floor. And then your other
Mhm.
bucket and whatever, I mean, you'll have space left over. But then this shelf,
Mhm.
potentially this one and several others, I think we're going to need to buy a couple of bins, but we could be anything you want. And I'll show you a product that I like at the Container Store that's really cheap and it's the good size for this. But basically, all the, like the
Mhm.
Swiffer type pads
Right. Okay.
would just go in a bin or in a container, and it could sit on a shelf.
Okay.
Then you're going to have another shelf that's going to be those backpacks. And so what I would do is just fold each of them in half
Mhm.
and then just put them both in a bin. You can just,
Okay.
reach in there and grab them and you're done. We also have the rackets.
Mhm.
So this could be some kind of outdoor, but again, I would do a bin, or I do have a way to hang stuff that I'll show you in a minute. Another shelf would be paint, and
Mhm.
they don't have to be in this order. But then the last shelf, and that's why I put in this number of shelves, is that I would either do your Dyson hand vac, mount it to the wall with the tank on it,
Okay.
or I would put the equipment, the extra components to it, I would put them in a bin and just set the Dyson on top of that.
Okay.
So it's easy to grab, but I would use a shelf. Now, if you
Okay.
do that, you have to use one of these shelves that's closer to the proximity of the cord on the wall, on
Okay.
the adjacent wall. One last thing, your chairs. Now, you had said if you had wanted to put those folding chairs in here,
Mhm.
that they would be approximately 18 by 18.
Right.
So it is possible, but what they would do is we would just not have the first 3 shelves on the back wall,
Oh, I see.
and
Okay.
they would go up under the remaining shelves. So what that means is it would work, but you now can only get about half of your brooms and mops in.
So I would rather store the chairs elsewhere and use the shelf space here. I think
Okay.
that's a better use of space.
And I agree, but I wanted you to know that it was an option.
Okay.
If that had been really important to you. So I'm glad you like the design.
Okay.
And I love that the flag fit in the corner, and we've
Yes.
addressed also the place for the leaves. So I really feel like we've done it.
I think so too. That's
Woohoo!
amazing. Yay.
Excellent. Okay, so
This is also the time that we talk about the budget in a more concrete way. Sometimes people don't know what to budget because they've never done an organizing project before. So after the consultation, I give a rough estimate of how much I think it will cost, and that way people at least know if they want to move forward with the process. At this stage, if they like the design, but they need to keep the costs down, then I can give them some alternative solutions that will accomplish the essence of the original design.
are there any budget issues with it that we need to address later?
So I think what I want to ask is, in general, this is probably the biggest space in our house that we're underutilizing for sure.
Okay.
So, but we may do some other closets in the future. So in terms of your advice on where to invest the most or the least, I kind of want your opinion about how much spending the top versus the end of the budget really gives us a return on quality and use and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Okay. The answer to that is, how big are the other spaces that potentially would get some love, and what?
Not big.
Okay.
It's a small space, but it's probably the biggest project, I think, and gives us
Right.
the most storage potential.
Well, I do think we're actually getting a lot in this one small space, so I'm excited about that. Comfortable with the amount of this project.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a pretty good bang for the buck. And as we go through, I'll show you why I think that.
Okay.
And then, there may be parts of it that we come back and say, I think we can do this same thing, but a little cheaper, but I do want to keep this part,
Right.
kind of thing.
Well, and I think the big thing I want to hear from you is, I mean, if we want to be able to hang the kind of things and store the kind of things and quality, they're just not going to last as long depending on the material. That's what I want to hear, because I want to invest while we're doing it right the first time. But
Absolutely.
we're not going for super pretty Hollywood beautiful because it's a utility closet, not like a kitchen open shelving where we would look at pretty and that kind of.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. And so I'll just tell you, first of all, my general feeling about this product. So we're doing Elfa from the Container Store. And I feel like for this type of application, there is nothing better. I've used other kinds of shelving. Obviously, there's issues with the flexibility of the design, there's the durability, there's the strength. And then the actual thing for this that makes it the best solution is it has more components. So it's going to be able to do more gadgety stuff, similar product lines.
And this is a pretty tight space and asking it to do a lot, so that makes sense.
Right. We're putting a lot in here.
So we don't intend to sell our house anytime soon, but if we did, do you find that there's any benefit in terms of people just liking shelving and closeting?
Well, absolutely. And that's a great question. So especially on a master closet or kids' closets in the garage, people love walking in and having that already done.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about Elfa components versus other components is that all they have to do is go into the Container Store and have it redesigned. If they need it, they may be perfect the way it is, but they can just take a picture of the space. They can go in and say, I kind of like this, but we have X, Y, and Z, and how could we redo this slightly so that it meets our needs, and it's done. And it's super easy. So it allows them to customize it, and it would certainly last the length of the time that you're going to have the house well into.
Okay.
So I think it's a definite bonus. I mean, I can't tell you you're going to get all the money you put into a big master closet back out, but it definitely helps resale.
And how complicated is this to?
That's another good aspect of using Elfa. I install all the time, and it's definitely a DIY thing if you want it to be. Of course, Container Store has people come out to install, but something like this is something you guys could do in an hour. It's not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But if you're ready to install it, just call me and I'll walk you through some stuff. But
good.
Since you've never done it before, I would leave about 2 hours.
Okay.
Install time. But it's definitely like an afternoon project and you're done.
Oh, wow. So exciting. Thank you so much.
I'm excited too. This is going to look really amazing. So I will send you some final stuff in the email. I'll let you know when the order's ready, and then we'll connect again. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to just text me or email me.
Sounds good. It is amazing what you are doing for our junk. Thank you.
I'm excited. I love junk. But we're
going to have a beautiful closet. It's inspiring us to clean everything up.
Yay. All right. So I'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good. Take care. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. Bye-bye.
If everything looks good and the client's happy, I'll walk them through the logistics of the purchase and the install. Then, after the install, we'll set up our next session where we put in our bins and organizational products and set everything up according to the organizational layout. And here is our new, beautifully organized utility closet. This family took this design and ran with it. They brought in things that we had never talked about, but that are perfect categories for this space. They just did a super job. Notice that even though the shelves are obstructing the door of the tankless hot water heater, they're easily removed for access at any time. Take a look at this amazing transformation.
So I'm so excited about seeing this finished product. I love this idea with the keys. We hadn't talked about that, but that's a genius, so I'm gonna have to steal that. And we got a little bit of gift wrap in with the umbrellas, but that's cool because that's maybe the most logical place to have that.
Well, it just kind of works.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so right above that, we've got the reusable, grocery bag type stuff and a little bit of tennis balls or whatever, racket balls. And then our outdoor area, that worked out great. Tell me what's in your little bins in the key rack area.
The garage opener.
We've got some extra keys that always needed a home to things like access to the garage and the air conditioner and the attic.
Yep.
Keys to some lock boxes, just some things that we need to keep in one place where everybody can find them, but that's a good place to keep them. We've also got a bunch of gift cards to lots of fun places, and we never know if we're running out the door, we might grab those to take because there's parts of money on different ones.
I love that.
We've got some lights that clip on backpacks and bike helmets and things like that for running and walking at night, so things we would grab on the way out the door.
Perfect.
We've got flashlights, and bug spray and sunscreen and lots of like kitty harnesses and collars and swim goggles and lanyards that we kind of need to grab when we want to take the kitty cats outside.
Right. I love that you found places to put things that we hadn't talked about, but they just work perfectly there. That's really great.
And then we've got lots of like bike riding goggles and trail working goggles and sunglasses by the back door. So that was a great place for those too.
Yes, love it. All right. So, and all our brooms and mops were fitting okay?
Yes, perfectly.
All right. Excellent. And then what happened with our hats? Did that work?
It did. We ended up painting them. Some are kind of double stacked, but that's okay because those are easy to grab up there. And we got some at the top shelf, some things that are chemicals that need to not be stored out in the detached garage in the heat.
Right.
Like some chemicals and some wood stain, some bike chemicals for bike tire patching and things like that, paint touch-ups.
Love it.
And hiking boots, and then we've got a bin for our Camelback day packs and water things for day trail hiking.
Yep.
Or for long walks and runs. And then we use our hammocks just about weekly. We've got our bike shoes in a bin for different bicycles. We've got a bin that we can grab the whole thing if we want to take when we go out to a camp or to the park.
Love that.
We've got fitness belts that hold phones and things for our arms that hold phones when we running out the door.
Right.
And the rest is cleaning supplies on the shelves on the bottom.
Love it. What's on your hooks there on the right?
Oh, those are things like our trekking poles for hiking and racket balls, and then some cleaning sticks for like dusters and scrub brushes and things like that.
Great. And then we talked about putting the flag in the corner. That seemed to work out really well. And then the table leaves.
Yes. We've also got our marshmallow toasting sticks for when we run out to a little picnic. And then we've got bike helmets on the wall, and actually we'll be hanging maybe a few more of those because we have a lot of bike helmets.
Right. Well, and you do have a little bit of space back in that back corner. I think we had talked about maybe hanging one of those accessory hooks up on that top track.
Yes.
And you could do something long and skinny back there,
Sure.
unless it's just too awkward to get back there. But
Right. And then we've got our vacuum handheld vac that's worked really well there. It's actually at a good height to kind of drop it in and take it out. We use that every day.
okay, tell me what was your solution for because we had talked about either a basket or a wall mounted, but you didn't
We
have
ended
the wall.
up going to the manufacturer's website and actually buying wall mounts for it,
That's great.
and it holds the accessories, so that worked great.
That's great. Okay, love that. That's a good solution. I love that you guys just, we got the bones in and then you just went with it, finding all kinds of great ways to use it. That's just amazing.
I think the thing that has amazed us in this process is that this was completely wasted and unused space for way too long, and we would have never imagined how to make use of this space without your eye. And it has given us a place to put some things that never, ever in 9 years we found a home for. They were just kind of stuck places, but they weren't good places. And they're things that we either need access to or don't have a regular place, and it uncluttered some other places. And then, it's been perfect for us and uses the space well. And then we just got like a door that's rechargeable battery mounted that opens when the door opens.
Yes, well, I was going to say that, we had talked about, well, I don't know if it was in our last video, but you had mentioned that y'all were thinking about putting a light in, which was a really good idea. And that has made such a difference. That room is completely different with that light in there.
It is, and we didn't want to go rewiring that space, and it didn't have a drop for the light. So this was a great answer because we can recharge the batteries, but it's only on when the door's open.
Yeah, I'm so pleased with that space. I just love it. It's really great.
It is amazing. Yes.
Well, and I love that the floor is empty, so you can actually walk in there and do stuff. Like interact with the shelves if you need to. And
absolutely. Yes, we can. Mm-hmm.
And I like that we did the adjustable shelves. And that particular closet system is obviously great because you can add a shelf later on if you need to. But I kind of like what we did. I think the spacing is good because you need to be able to reach into the bins. I wouldn't really change anything, but I like that you have the flexibility because you may change what you put in there someday, and you might want to add another shelf, or just move the distance between shelves, you know.
I think we easily could add a shelf if we decided to.
Yeah.
And we went ahead and got extra brackets so that if we decide to, where we've got one more shelf and one more
Yeah,
bracket.
we'd have to space here for these bins if we wanted to add another one at some
Yeah.
point.
Right. I love it. I'm just so pleased, and it sounds like you're happy too.
We are happier than we could have imagined. Thank you so much. We would have never imagined using this space this way and are so sad we didn't all these years.
Well, I'm thrilled to get to be part of the project. So let's, we will touch base, then I'll send you like a final invoice. So, oh, there's flannel. And
Yes,
then
the kitty cats love the closet. Too,
I'm so happy. That is the definite seal of approval right there.
Definitely, yes.
So I'll send you a final email and we'll just wrap everything up. And I just appreciate you so much taking the time to do the videos. Y'all were amazing videographers. And this is just a great example of virtual organizing and a good success story. So
Well,
thanks again.
thank you so much. It is also encouraged us to organize under the kitchen sink, under the bathroom sink. We have culled down our cleaning supplies, which needed to happen, and now we are inspired to move on to another closet in the near future. So thank you.
Woohoo! Love it.
Yay.
All
right,
right,
thank
guys.
you, Lisa, so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has helped you gain a little perspective into the organizing process. And virtual organizing is not for everyone or every project, but it can be an effective tool. If you're wondering if virtual organizing is right for you and your project, I do have a blog post that could help you decide, and I have linked that in the description below. If you found this video helpful, I would love to hear about it. Please leave me a comment or a question that you might have about the organizing process. And if you liked the video, please click like. For more information about my organizing services and pictures about other organizing projects, please visit my website, beeandpeacockorganizing.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, where I post weekly about current organizing projects. And for more videos on the organizing process, tips and tools, and product reviews, click subscribe, and I'll see you soon.